What's up, Warriors, and welcome to another episode of the Mental Health Movement Podcast, Voice for the Voiceless. I'm your host, Chris. I just want to thank all my supporters for listening in every week when the new episodes drop. As you guys know, it is Men's Health Awareness Month, and want to consistently tout the message. Speak to your strong friends, speak to your silent friends. We're all fighting a battle that we have no idea about, right? And if you yourself are struggling, just remember that it is okay to not be okay, and there is resources out there. And like I said, the 988 number is very useful, and great counselors are on the other end of that call. So don't be afraid to reach out. So with that being said, today's guest, he is a United States Air Force veteran. He's a motivational speaker, an entrepreneur, and he is the CEO of Amey Motivation. Please help me welcome Kijuanamey. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, Chris. And yourself?
Good, man. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you having me so we could talk about this serious topic.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. Whenever I first got your email and just kind of did a little research and your story and everything, it's just so powerful. I think everybody is going to benefit from this conversation because you come from such a strong background and just have a very powerful story. So I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more about that.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
let's start from the beginning. Can you share your journey in the Air Force? What inspired you to serve?
What inspired me to serve? I'll have to start off by saying I didn't want I was that wasn't my goal was to
Right.
be in the military at all. I actually wanted to go to school first. So what happened was, you know how that story goes. What happened was, so I was, graduating college, finishing everything up. I had already been accepted into a school, by the way. And so I was calling them on the phone with the lady, trying to get her to give me more information about, where I needed to go for freshman orientation. And it was a school here in North Carolina where I'm actually, born and raised, which is Durham, North Carolina. And the school is out of Greensboro, North Carolina. And I was on the phone with her and she had no information on me. Like, their database was completely blank about me. And I'm sitting here staring at a letter with my name on it, with their seal on it and my address. So who mailed this thing to me? Because I didn't do
Right.
it. You know what I mean? And so when I found out that they had no recollection of me, I tried to find a way to not remember them. Um, Except it's a little bit harder when you're actually a university. So uh the thing of it is, man, I wanted to go to school for engineering, whether that be computer or software. I was still that was like a toss up to me trying to figure that out. So I was
Mhm.
gonna let school decide that one for me when I got there. And you know, what I did understand is that I couldn't sit around anymore. I couldn't waste no more
Mhm.
time. I was done with the fast food. I was working at Bojangles at the time. And nothing against Bojangles, but that was a starter.
Right.
And, that was just to get my feet somewhat wet in working, just in general.
Yeah.
And so it was not for me to make a career out of, and they did try. They tried their hardest to convince me to become a manager. Because I was like, I'm not staying here. They were like, what if we give you a manager job? Like, no, I've seen your hours. And so the thing of it is, man, I have plenty of military family, six Navy, one Army that I never got the chance to meet. God rest his soul, one Marine, that I really don't talk to as much. He does, follow me from a distance, but
Mhm.
and then my youngest brother, who's currently serving, he is in the Air Force. So he followed Big Brother's steps. He could have followed his dad, because his dad was in the Navy. He could have went
Right.
Navy, but he ended up following Big Brother's steps, which was, it was toss up between the two. But he saw where he wanted to go, and Now he was kind of stuck because he already, got his feet in there. But anyway, um, well, I had a large footprint in the military, so that's what kind of turned me that way,
Right.
made me pivot. Because again, I don't want to sit around. Yeah, I could wait until the next semester to try again. I don't want to do that.
Sure.
Because I'm gonna be sitting here doing nothing but working fast food. I'm done with that life.
Yeah.
It was so over. And don't get me wrong, I didn't like leave the next day to go to boot camp or nothing.
Mhm.
It was just that I needed to go ahead and have a plan in place
Yeah.
to get rid of this fast food job. And so that's what I did. I actually initially, since I told you a big footprint in
Yeah.
Navy. But oh, I'm sorry, one is now a Coast Guardsman. He was in the Navy, but he now is Coast Guard.
Okay.
So literally every branch, Homeland Security, all of it. We touch all of them. My
Wow.
family has touched all of them. But anyway, since we have so many people in the Navy, that's who I went to talk to first. The Navy recruiters who I went to talk to first.
Hmm.
Um, but two things. First off, I really didn't want to go into the Navy, mainly because I didn't care much for water. I
Yeah.
mean, I like to be on water at the beach, but not in the ship. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That's a lot more water out there in the middle of the ocean than on the shoreline. Okay,
Right.
there are no lifeguards. And if you fall off the top of an aircraft carrier, you're done. That's it.
Right.
There's no surviving. No, they said there is zero survival. They say that on a cruise ship too. Zero survival rate. You know what I mean? So don't do it. And anyway, two, he taught me how to go into the Navy. The
Oh,
recruiter.
wow.
The recruiter taught me how to go into the Navy. How did he do that? I'll gladly tell you. He didn't answer none of my questions. Brother, that's all you had to do. Answer my questions. You had a Navy sailor. That's it. But he couldn't do that. So guess what he lost? A sailor.
Right.
So here we are. Um, and I mean literally 45 minutes of me talking to this man, and I'm like, I got to go out. So I figured out a lie to get out of this. Oh my gosh, I gotta go pick up my sister, she actually went to the Navy. And talk to that same guy.
Oh,
Which is
man.
crazy enough. We never went on the same day, but talked to that same guy. And I wonder if he ever asked about me. Probably not. He probably didn't remember me anyway. But I went across the hall, man. That I didn't even leave the building that same exact day. Didn't even leave the building. We just went across the hall to the Air Force recruiter's office. The Army and the Marines had never even had a shot. I was not going down the hall. I was not going that far.
Right.
And it wasn't that I don't appreciate them. It's
Mhm.
just that that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And I knew that already. And so went into that Air Force recruiter's office, and sure enough, man, on the wall, as soon as I walked into the recruiter's office, there was a pennant that said Community College of the Air Force.
Mm.
Again, I'm trying to find a way to pay for school, go to
Right.
school, whatever. I was like, oh shoot, yeah, I think I'm good. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think this is the sign I needed. And so I keep walking in and turn to the right. This room is empty, and the only two people in it were the recruiters. I said, yeah, this is heaven sent. And so um they're looking at me and I'm looking at them, man, and they say, well, can we help you? They're like, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm trying to join the Air Force. They're like, well, I come on in. I think we can help you. And sure enough, man, it was a whole different vibe. Everything was just different about them, how they operated, all of it. Now,
Interesting.
I don't know if this is a sucker punch, but it was a good one.
Yeah.
That's what I will say. So that was how I initially got started into the United States Air Force and military.
So, it's an interesting turn that, it just took somebody not communicating with you versus somebody who actually wanted to encourage you to walk in their direction to serve with them. And just imagine if that conversation was actually the same on both sides and he had to choose between the two, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, man. So, real quick, and
mhm,
I'll make this because I think about business since I am a business owner.
yeah,
Just imagine if they were taught the same way of operating.
right.
I would have went to the Navy because
Really?
it would have been more inviting. It would
Uh-huh.
have been more of him answering my questions. It would have been more uh you just open, which is what the Air Force was.
Mhm,
With what the Air Force did, as soon as I walked in there, it was over. Nobody else had a chance. Nobody. You couldn't
mhm,
have turned me any other way because of how they were welcoming, first off,
mhm,
how they had my intent. They presented that first. And then they'd be like, well, let me kind of help you here. That's what they would do.
right.
Not a no, you need to do this. We know best. No, that's not how they run their operations.
Right.
And so just imagine if they would have had the same mindsets.
Yeah.
I would have been a Navy sailor.
It's an
So yeah.
interesting turn there. And from my understanding, your role in the Air Force was in-flight refueling specialist, right? That was your
Oh
official
yeah.
title.
Oh
So,
yeah.
what did you enjoy most about that role?
Oh, I, I think you'd be better off asking what didn't I enjoy? Listen, I enjoyed the whole experience other than active duty. And the
Mhm,
reason I say that is because I did both active duty and the reserves. So that's really the only thing that I didn't enjoy was active duty. And
right.
now, what am I saying about this? I don't like being misused.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what the active duty side does because they know they have you,
Right.
because they have you on a contract, you
Mhm.
can't do anything about it. And so I mean, when I tell you they burn the stink out of you, I I got to my first duty station in April of 2012, like literally the first of April.
Right.
Uh, June, like the second week in June, maybe I'm going to the desert, man. That's how quick they got me out the door to deploy.
Where did you have to go to?
Qatar,
Guitar, okay.
that was where I was deployed, but we flew in a whole nother area.
Hmm.
We flew to a whole nother. It took 2 hours just to get to the other area where we were refueling.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I was deployed to Qatar, but I was operating in a whole nother area, which
Hmm.
is the danger zone. As
Right.
hey, as they say in Top Gun, danger zone. But anyway, um, and then from June. So like I said, I got there in April. June, I deployed. From June to August, I'm in the desert. Oh my gosh, don't ever go out there at that time. It's so hot.
Yeah, I bet.
It is so hot. And so June to August, I'm gone. 2 months. Oh, that's
Hmm.
fine. I'm okay with that. Well, how come when I get back, they got my name on the board already again
Oh
to go
no.
back in October?
Same place?
No, it was okay. First off, it was the yes. At first, it was the same place,
Right.
but they said since you just came back, we're gonna give you this one, and then you'll go back in next year or
Hmm.
the year after. And so they switched it to an island. I said, oh, that's not too bad, which was Curacao.
Right.
No, if you've ever heard of Curacao, but that's Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao. They call it the ABC
Oh,
Islands.
okay.
Yeah, it's right above Venezuela. Doing counter drug intelligence.
Oh,
And yeah,
wonderful.
so I'm refueling, one of the this plane was in, I don't know if you've ever seen Bad Boys or whatever,
Yeah.
but they had this plane in Bad Boys. It was a white plane at night with that big old spinning disc on the top of it.
Right.
It's called an AWACS.
Okay.
But that's what I was refueling. And that thing has so many different people inside of it, like that can talk to people from anywhere, like see everything that's down there below them, like and even beyond that. Like so if you're in the water, they can see you, they can hear you. It's crazy how powerful that plane is, man.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be with it anywhere near it if that radar or what we call the radome
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
on. That thing will burn you clean up inside and out, man, with
Right.
radiation. And
And about
so
how long did you say, how long did you serve for in total?
10 years, three
10 years.
months, and 17 days, but I'm not counting.
I was gonna say, who's counting?
I am not counting. That's what the military did. I'll let them do that on paper. But
Right.
honestly, for me, man, I feel like it was only 6.5 years because that's when I had my motorcycle accident.
Right, right. So let's talk about that. You had your motorcycle accident in about 2017, right?
Yeah.
Um, how did that change your perspective on life?
Oh, perspective. Oh, Jesus. It definitely showed me a lot of things. I
Yeah.
will say that. Um, it showed you that people will say one thing and mean something else.
Mm. Like, do you mean like people being there for you or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in the beginning, it was amazing. I mean,
right?
there was constant visits. Like when I
Mhm.
was in, so I was in the hospital for 2 months, by the way.
Wow.
This was May 5th, 2017. I was in the hospital until July 7th,
Oh my
2017.
God.
The first month I know nothing about because I was in a medically induced coma.
Hmm.
So a whole month of my life is gone.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could go find it at the hospital, but but I don't want to. I don't want
Yeah.
to because it was nothing but a bunch of cutting,
Yeah.
operations, surgeries, take out this bone, put in this rod, that
Ah,
type of thing. Yeah, it was a lot of that stuff. Got metal plates in my head, my back, and both legs, and a screw in my right foot.
wow.
So literally from head to toe, man, I've been
You're the
put back together.
Terminator. You're the Terminator.
That or Mr. Potato Head, whichever you like.
Still potato.
Whichever you like.
I mean, I like Terminator because it says you're strong, brother. You're
Yeah,
strong.
oh yeah. No, yeah, man. Strong is really an understatement, man,
Yeah.
because of the things I live with on a daily.
Right.
And what I when I go back to thinking of the perspective side of it is yes, people were there, man, in the beginning. And, throughout my whole hospital stay,
Yeah.
even some would come after my hospital stay when I got home,
Mhm.
or to my grandmother's house because that's where I stayed. They moved all my stuff out of my apartment and into her house because she had 3 bedrooms, and she was only occupying one, like living
Right.
wise. But so the the pouring out of people that came initially was tremendous. It was
Yeah.
like the biggest. And the reason, not the only, but one of the main reasons was because all the doctors said I was done. All
Like
of them did.
survival rate was low.
It's low.
Yeah.
Call everybody now.
Wow. Wow.
Not low. We're talking about he's probably not going to make it.
Ah,
We're just keeping him alive.
jeez. And
And
you got
so,
all against those odds, man. That's incredible.
Y yes. And so the main two operations they did before, they started allowing people to see me was to cut my head open. You see the scar here?
Yeah.
Cut my head open from ear to ear
Hmm.
to relieve the swelling on my brain.
Right.
And my groin area because I was bleeding out.
Oh
One
my
of the
God.
arteries in there was had been I guess opened up or
Hmm.
severed somehow. And they wanted to go in and fix it, or I wasn't going to make that either.
Yeah.
Because bleeding out, people don't really understand. You might be bleeding out internally, but that's still bleeding out.
Yeah. That's dire, right?
Yeah, and so they fixed those two things first. Um, and then, like I say, when I tell you that first day, so my accident happened at like 2 p.m.
Hmm.
on May 5th. My mother didn't find out until 10 p.m. that night.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was my fault.
I mean,
And
you were in
the
the hospital. I mean,
well, no, no. what I mean is my address on my license was incorrect.
I see. Okay.
So I lived in Durham, North Carolina, but my license showed I still lived in Goldsboro, where the base is. That's an hour and 15-minute drive one way.
Right.
And that's just doing the speed limit,
Hmm.
so they had to send a unit, the police officers had to send a unit down there. Again, you're not going to find anybody because I don't live there
Right.
and I don't know anybody that lives there. And so luckily they saw my wallet that um I, I was in the military. So
Hmm.
they saw the ID, and then you could see literally from what the apartment that I did used to stay at, that if you look straight through the tree line, there was the runway
Hmm.
to the Air Force base.
Right.
I was like, well, he's probably stationed over there since he's so close to this place.
Right.
And sure enough, that's how they found me um in the system,
Hmm.
the Air Force base's system. They went over to the visitor center and all that stuff, which got in touch with my chain of command. My chain of command got in touch with my mom. And so, my mom was at Walmart, dude. Hear me clearly. Just got to Walmart, her and
Right.
my stepdad. And I mean, they hadn't even put nothing in the buggy yet. The shopping cart was empty.
Hmm.
Just got there. And they're over there, with the food section. And she gets a phone call. She's like, "What? Who is calling me from Goldsboro?" Like, that, and she's like, "It's gotta be somebody from the base."
Hmm.
And that's why she answers the phone, and sure enough, man. Phone call I would never, ever, ever want any parent to receive,
Yeah.
and especially a mother that's been looking for her son all
Yeah.
day.
Right. Right.
Hear me clearly. She's been looking for me all day because she wanted to invite me over to eat.
You guys have a close relationship, you and your mom?
Yeah, I actually live with her now, but
Okay.
what I was getting at is we lived in the same neighborhood.
Right.
So that's why she was inviting me over. She was
Gotcha.
cooking one of my favorites. And she was like, "Yeah, hoping that I was gonna come over since she was cooking that." And anywho, she answers the phone and they're like, "Hey, is this Miss Veronica Brooks?" And it's like, "Yes. Who is this?" It was like, "Oh, this is so and so from the United States Air Force. We know your son, Kijuanamey, and we just want to say you should probably head over to UNC Hospital in Chapel Hill because he's been involved in a terrible motorcycle accident." Say what? You know what I mean?
She
So
probably
I'm
got there in like
sorry.
5 minutes or so, huh?
Well, not even that. It was more so of a what am I thinking of right now? Like your mind is probably completely blank.
Yeah.
I've been looking for him all day. I seen his car at home,
Hmm.
and you would have never saw my motorcycle because it's always in the garage.
Right.
Because I know too many bike thieves,
Hmm.
so I kept my bike in the garage, and when it was in the garage, it was still locked. Like
Hmm.
there's a wheel lock you can put on it.
Right.
Even then, I kept the lock on it. So anyway, what I'm getting at is the initial outpour of support was just amazing.
Yeah.
When you think someone that you truly care for is not going to be there, man, you do go running.
Yeah.
These people were there at 2 a.m. Again, this happened at 2 p.m. These
Yeah.
people are at the hospital in the lobby at 2 a.m. crying, consoling, praying, everything.
Hmm.
My pastor and his wife, they were called in, to do the prayer for me.
Wow.
And they get up out of their bed in the middle of the night, no hesitation, no hesitation, and he comes and he told me this himself. Now, this is his words verbatim. He says, they call me Key. Some people call me Key, some call me Kiwi.
Hmm.
And he says, Key, when I walked into that hospital ICU lobby, he
Hmm.
said, I knew I was gonna have to lay down a heavy one. This was gonna be a heavy one.
Right.
And he meant the prayer. He said, because this lobby was standing room only.
Wow.
He said there was not a dry eye in there. And he said it wasn't just black people. It wasn't just white people. It wasn't just Hispanic people. It was everybody.
Hmm.
Didn't matter. They did not care what race, color, creed. They were there for you,
I love that.
the person.
Yeah.
And he said that, and man, I tell you, boy, some things get to you. I might have been in the military, but I still know how to cry.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still know how to shed a tear every now and then, brother. So that one right there, I was like, hold up, time out. Let me one of those moments, but it was so it was heartfelt.
Yeah.
And then once oh, by the way, while I'm in the hospital, I mean every single day. Hear me clearly, every single day.
Hmm.
And I don't know what it was like before I came out of the coma, but
Yeah.
when I came out, every single day somebody was coming to my room.
Wow.
I had a visitor every single day. And I heard the stories about when I was in, my coma because
Mhm.
people were like, man, they would come in there and, you have to go to surgery. And they would sit there and just wait
Yeah.
until you got done with your surgery because they didn't know if you were going to make it out.
Right.
Like, this is all the things I'm hearing, man. And so, fast forward a little bit, to when I get out of the hospital. By the way, I was dating a young lady at the time.
Hmm.
Um, and she came to the hospital nowhere near as much as I thought she would have.
Hmm.
Uh, um, and then when I got home, I was like, okay, well maybe she'll come now, since I'm closer. No, no, we got fewer and fewer.
Oh
And
no.
to the point where I three on three different occasions when she said she was gonna come visit me, there were three different excuses why she did. Even to the point where you're now using your kid to make this an excuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that baby didn't do anything.
Right.
Don't throw this baby in here. And so to make a long story short,
Hmm.
I ended up getting ghosted, man. The ultimate ghosting. And what I mean by ultimate is that she changed her entire phone number.
Jeez.
Tell me what I did
Right.
to
Yeah.
deserve that.
Nothing at
I
all.
was involved in an accident where somebody pulled out in front of me.
Hmm.
I didn't do nothing crazy. I
Right.
was just riding, trying to get home to go change for work.
Right.
I, literally, that's what I was doing. But yeah, you ghost me and change your entire phone number? Like
Yeah.
what? Don't even bother to call. Don't even bother to check. What are we doing? What are we doing here?
It's horrible.
But it tells me more about a person who can do that than a person who can say something and then remove themselves from the picture.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Tells me way more.
Yeah.
So I do my best not to dwell on it because I'm in a way better relationship now anyway.
Hmm.
Appreciate her dearly. If she makes me smile, she makes me laugh, and I do the same, you
Yeah.
know. So I tell you, it's funny how things work out.
Right.
At the time, I couldn't laugh at it, but now I can because I see the brighter side of it.
Yeah.
Now, this was what, 8 years ago,
Hmm.
8 years ago. So yes, I had to go through the growing pains of it, but I got through them.
Right.
So that's what mattered.
So after your accident, you find out that you've lost your vision. What were the biggest challenges you faced, and I guess how did you overcome, I guess just not having that vision anymore?
Well, first off, I like to say I lost my eyesight.
Right.
Because I see vision more so as a mental thing
Fair.
versus my eyesight, I call that a physical disability. So that's how I view it. And I also use that quote. I may have lost my sight, but I didn't lose my vision.
I love
That's
that.
my quote. Um, and so anywho, losing that is one thing because when you lose eyesight,
Hmm.
you can still operate. There are still ways to operate.
Right.
Trust me, I have figured them out. Now, I might not be able to get behind that wheel and drive,
Yeah.
but I have moved a car before. I can't lie about that. I've moved a car without eyesight. Um, I have driven an ATV before without eyesight. I've
Wow.
done downhill skiing without eyesight.
That's that's wild.
Hey, listen, I am not lying to you. I'm not tandem to anybody. This is just literally somebody. So the way I'm hearing you in my headphones is all I was doing was hearing somebody in a headpiece, and they were telling me what to do down this mountain.
That's incredible.
Now, first off, I thank God that I had already done downhill skiing before this
Right.
this event,
Yeah.
but I still felt like I could have done it without because this lady, she was an amazing coach.
Hmm.
First off, she was so calm. Her voice was so calming. Like she never made me once feel afraid of what I was doing or feel nervous about what I was doing.
I love that.
Everything was at my pace.
Hmm.
And so doing the different things that I've done, the sports like, tandem cycling, archery, air rifle, all of these different bowling, powerlifting, shot put, discus, you name it, I'm trying to do it, man. If I can do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I wanted to go surfing and kayaking and sailing. I wanted to go do that this year with the VA, but I didn't get selected. So maybe next year,
Yeah.
because I am trying to be a blind guy who does it all. That's literally what I'm doing. Just
Hey
let's
man,
mark it. Let's just check them off, dude.
like you said, if you can do it, you're gonna do it. I love that.
Exactly. As you can see behind me, I have
The
drums
drum set,
and a
yeah.
piano, man. Dude, I've been playing drums since I was 7. I still
Yeah,
play till today.
I love it.
I play at my church. The keyboard, I just started learning that in October of 2020 in the pandemic because I was bored.
Right.
That's why I started learning it because I was bored. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, nobody, and I mean nobody should be thinking that they can't do anything.
Yeah.
Because I know not just with my physical disability in the eyesight, but
Hmm.
I do have a mental, or should I say cognitive
Hmm.
disability as well in my traumatic brain injury and PTSD. I do
Right.
have that because that's what caused, the depression and the mental health issues due to the damage to my frontal lobe.
Yeah.
There's where the emotions lie. So they flare up very quickly now. It's harder to control.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong, I do have my days, but again, this is why I go to mental therapy and
Hmm.
why I seek mental health. And so with the eyesight thing, man, I went to the schools. They have a school for in the VA. They have these things called blind rehab centers. And you literally go there. Like
Hmm.
you go in person. Well, in the pandemic, they were just doing it online, but I was able to do it right before the pandemic, fortunately. And I was there for 2 months. Um, and it's all based on you, how quickly you learn. And this is what I love about this stuff because it's like if you can, well, and also if you're showing that you're actually trying.
Yeah.
But if you are slower to learning than someone else, that's not your fault. Also, remember, I was 25 years old when I had this accident. At the time I went to that blind rehab center, I was 27. Yeah, 27.
Right.
And there were people there in their 90s. We're talking about World War II vets
Wow.
in their 90s, man, who are learning at this blind rehab center just like I'm learning. So
Hmm.
I wouldn't expect them to learn the same way I learn.
Right.
And that's why it's at your own pace because they're trying to serve more people. And with that, it's also a blessing because you get to sit there and talk to the World War II vets. You get to talk to the Vietnam vets. You get to talk to the Korean War vets. You get to talk to these people and the Desert Storm, all this stuff.
Yeah.
You just be like, wow,
I was gonna say the stories you guys must have exchanged.
yeah, dude, it was crazy. I'm like, I don't want to talk. I want to hear y'all because I didn't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Y'all did something.
Right.
That's how I felt. And they were like, well, you're still doing something because you're still allowing us to be here.
Ah, I love that.
Yeah, and so I was like, you guys know how to put things into perspective because all I want to hear is what you guys do. I was never truly activated for war.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just kind of having like a contingency thing going on here right now.
Hmm.
And is that's really what it's about, man. The physical limitations of your eyesight are more so based on you.
Yeah.
Because I've even traveled the country by myself. I'm actually
Hmm.
getting ready to go to Dallas next week.
Wow.
By myself. I've been to Washington State by myself. You know, been to Florida by myself. Been to Texas by myself. And get ready to go back to Texas by myself. And in August, I'm going over to Italy. So I'm
Nice.
gonna be international, you
Very
know?
nice.
So yeah, man, it's your limitations are based on you.
Yeah.
With today's society, there's too much. Too
Right.
much to say, I don't think I can, or I don't know how. Man, with all this stuff that hey, AI is now my best friend. Hey, computers are turning into my best friend, man. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry because they don't lie.
Right.
They will tell you the truth. And it might hurt, but they will tell you the truth. Uh,
Um, so as vice president of the regional group, Blinded Veterans Association, um, what initiatives would you say that you're the most passionate about?
well, with that group, I'm actually the former vice president now,
Okay.
but yeah, with that group, that was where I also learned more about being not just a not just blinded,
Hmm.
but a blinded veteran. That group came about, if I can think correctly, was that 1942? It's either 1942 or 47. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but it was in the 40s, 1940s, when all the World War II vets were coming back,
Right.
and they had a lot of injuries to their vision.
Hmm.
That's where the BVA came from. That's the abbreviation for it, the Blinded Veterans Association. That's where it came from.
Right.
And it is, something that Congress uh acknowledges.
Hmm.
So we do get recognition by them. We do have to go to Congress every so often to present to them,
Right.
hey, we need stuff too.
Yeah,
Don't forget
absolutely.
us, don't forget about us.
Right.
Uh, and when I say it, it was fulfilling. I mean, they wanted me to be the president. I was like, I was like, I got too much going on to be a president
Yeah.
of something right now, and they were like, okay, well, you could be the vice president. I said, now what does that entail? Well,
Yeah.
just when I don't have, when the president isn't capable, that's when you step in. I said, okay. And he was very capable at the time. God rest his soul now because he passed away. I believe it was last year. And I didn't get to make the funeral, but that's because I was not in the area.
Hmm.
So. But yeah, that was sheesh, man. That's crazy. So yeah, we are what we call blinded veterans, help it blinded veterans.
Right.
And that's what it's all about. That's the slogan, that's the motto, however you want to phrase it, but it's blinded veterans helping blinded veterans.
Right.
And we that's what we believe in. We got to help each other first, and
Yeah.
then we can, get this thing crunk up and going. Now, granted, again, this was started back in the 1940s when, the World War II vets were coming back, and it was a whole lot more
Yeah.
blinded veterans back then than it is now. So it's kind of I'm
Interesting.
praying that it stays, a strong entity
Yeah, absolutely.
because as your numbers dwindle, so does their interest.
I was gonna say, so the support, right?
Yeah, man, and that's the hard side of it.
Yeah, and having that community is definitely important.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure we'll still have the community, but it's the support.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, from like Congress and
Mhm.
things of that nature, man. So yeah, that's how I see that.
So you have a book and it's called Don't Focus on Why Me. What inspired you to write that? You went through traumatic accident and losing your eyesight. What made you ready to write your story and share it to the world?
Uh, I was getting pushed.
Really?
I got pushed plenty of times to write this story. My accident was May 5th, 2017. I didn't write that book until, start, should I say, writing that book until again October of 2020 in the pandemic when I was just bored.
Right.
And so the boredom was where I was able to sit and think
Hmm.
and have free time as well. But, I was able to just sit and have free range of my thoughts. Now, I published that in June of 2021, the same month and year when I retired, medically retired.
Hmm.
But it was inspired by my friend Sam Murray. He actually passed away as well before I was able to publish the book. But he was the catalyst that just kept saying, "Hey man, you got to write a book, man. Your story is so powerful. You just, I mean," and him constantly saying this. First off, it was a little nagging. Like it was like, "Hey man, will you shut up?"
Right.
Like, leave me alone about this book. But then it was like, I guess I should, because he wasn't the only one saying it.
Hmm.
And the other thing was, I do have a story to tell. And when I realized it, that was when I put, I would say pen to pad, but it was more like fingers to keyboard.
Sure. Right.
And so, yes, by the way, for those who are thinking, I wrote my own book. I did not have a ghostwriter.
I love that.
I wrote my own story, but I did have, help with editing,
Right.
book formatting, and the cover design. But on the cover, those are two pictures that I took because I did used to do photography.
Hmm.
So the motorcycle, I took that picture. That was actually the bike that I used to own, and I actually had the accident on. And the backdrop is the lake that I was leaving from, here in North Carolina called Jordan Lake.
Right. Love that, man. What key message or takeaway do you hope readers gain from your book?
Ooh, the readers? I just want them to understand that it could listen, there was never a day in my life that I was just like, yeah, I might have an accident. I didn't if you went around thinking that or riding like that, you probably would have got injured way quicker.
Right.
Because you're always looking around for cars.
Hmm.
I never once thought like that, man. So when I do tell my story because I do mentoring and things of that nature, and I tell people, man, I say this literally could be you one day.
Yeah.
It does not have to be a motorcycle. It could be a car accident. I know a guy who was involved in a car accident overseas in the military, and now he has vision problems, not complete loss, but problems, as well as I think is having mobility issues with his legs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like this can be you. It does not have to be a motorcycle accident. I do know a guy that had motorcycle accidents. There are plenty of people who have motorcycle accidents, but they usually don't live to tell the story.
Right. Right.
I'm thankful that I'm still here to tell my
Yeah,
story.
definitely.
Beyond blessed, you know, because mine, like I told you in the beginning of this, they said call everybody. Because, and when they tell you to call everybody, that means he's not going to be here much longer.
Yeah.
She's not going to be here much longer. They will not be here much longer. You might want to bring everybody
Right.
in so they can say their last words. And so I'm thankful those weren't the last words that I would ever hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm thankful that those weren't the last words that I would ever speak.
I always go by the saying, don't ever think something can't happen to you.
Yeah.
I don't believe on talking down to the people who are disabled or, the homeless or whatever it is. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you could lose your ass tomorrow. You could lose your life
Yeah.
tomorrow. So
Yeah.
live for today and be grateful and be humble. Because I feel, with the landscape of social media and just how everything is in today's world, I mean, it's a pretty vicious world out there right now, man.
Tell me
You
about it,
know?
dude.
Um,
I heard a quote for it, or a saying, shall I say, in regards to um homelessness.
mhm.
We're all just one paycheck away from that home, buddy boy.
Right? Yeah.
You know, like literally, there are so many, especially Americans. I can only speak for Americans. There are so many Americans that don't even have $1,000 saved up.
Right.
$1,000? Tell me where that's going in today's society. Tell me how far you get with that. I don't
Nowhere.
even know where you can pay rent like that.
I was
You know
just
what
gonna
I
say
mean?
that.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
you're out. Gotta go.
Especially in these big cities. $1,000
Dude,
won't even get you a studio.
come on, man. Come on, man. You gonna be renting somebody's bedroom.
Right.
That's literally all you're gonna have is a
Yeah.
bedroom,
Right.
not an actual physical apartment, not a studio, a condo, definitely not a condo. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
dude, I just say again, we're all a paycheck away because that doesn't take long. Not many people are sitting on 3 to 6 months of saved income
Exactly.
because we're having to spend it.
Right.
People think,
Groceries, rent, bills. I mean, it's
What
everything.
what a,
Yeah.
exactly. And people I God bless them. These financial advisors, they're so amazing with their speeches. I'm
Mhm.
like, you act like as if I don't want to have that
Right.
kind of money saved up. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like you're talking to me like I'm a kid. You should have saved your money. You shouldn't have been spending it on that video game. I do what? Am I 15? I'm confused. No, I'm having to live, and in order to live, I gotta buy things.
Right. And the
What are we
crazy
talking?
part is we're in a world where we have to choose between eating and paying a bill.
Tell me about it, dude. It's so crazy, man.
Yeah.
And you know, and the other thing is you want to still give, like if you have kids or if you don't have kids, because I don't, I have nephews here right now
Yeah.
that I still want them to have a life.
Right.
I don't want them to be stuck in the house, man.
Hmm.
Yeah, now granted, they love going outside. You give them a water gun or a Nerf gun or a football, man, these cats will be outside all day. But I want to be able to take them to a movie. I
Right.
want to be able to take them out to eat. Hey, man, y'all want some McDonald's, some pizzas? What do y'all want tonight? If I can't, what? I don't want to have them thinking, regard. Now, I'm not saying I want to penny pinch and be in the ground because of my
Yeah.
financials being just terrible. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if I have enough, I will give to them.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So, like just today, man, I said, hey, y'all, when y'all come back from the pool with your grandma, y'all got two options. We can do Wendy's or we can do McDonald's. Y'all choose, but I'm buying. Look, y'all make the choice. I'm just buying. That's all I'm doing. So they had to fight over it. I don't have nothing to do with it.
I love it. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the Amey motivation.
Yeah.
So what is the mission of of that business?
Yeah, Amy Motivation, the mission for it is to literally s- make someone just all I care about is one. Now,
Hmm.
if it goes wider than that, that's amazing. But we got to start with one first.
Right.
Make someone feel that feels like they are less than feel more than what they really are. I need you to understand that just because something was either taken away from you or life has shifted, maybe you lost your job because there are a lot of things going on right now. Maybe, for example, like myself, I lost a significant other.
Yeah.
Hey, life keep going, and I found a better. To be honest,
Hmm.
we have to understand that regardless, it doesn't have to be a complete disability like mine. I don't even call my disability a disability. I call it a different ability because I'm gonna find a
Mm,
different way to do something.
love. Dude, that is probably the best thing I've ever heard. Like I've never heard it said like that. Say that
Yeah,
one more
man.
time.
So I don't call my disability a disability. I call it a different
A
ability.
different ability.
A different ability.
Dude, that's incredible.
Yeah. Because I'm going to find a different way of doing something.
Oh, dude, you're fucking awesome, dude. Pardon my language. You're awesome.
I appreciate it, man. Like some
That's
people, like I told you, I've been playing those drums since I was 7.
yeah,
I wasn't born blind.
right.
I lost my eyesight at 25. I'm 33 now, and I still play. So I got a joke for you. Somebody said, "How do you still know how to play the drums, man? It's so amazing. How do you find?" I said, "I just listen."
Mm,
They're like, "Listen? Yeah, those things make noise."
right.
I just listen and I hit everything, man. I just bam, bam. Like,
Incredible.
and they were like, "That's not funny." I was like, "It is to me."
It's a little funny.
It is to me because I can't see it, so I just listen to him.
Right.
But that's the thing, man. We have to find the different abilities. We have to find the alternate routes. We have to find the the different ways and methods of
Mhm.
doing things
Right.
because
It's
it'll bring something back.
yeah.
And I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day, man. Oh, it was one of the guys I mentor, and he was trying to find his way out of a dark spot.
Right.
He's losing his eyesight as well. He's trying to find his way out of a dark spot. And I said, well, first off, find what you love.
Hmm.
Find your passion. My passion is those things sitting behind me.
Right.
I love the drums. That's why I still play them. That's why I was in the hospital teaching nurses how to play. I'm not even lying. I wrote about this in my book, dude. I was in a hospital teaching nurses paradiddles and double strokes and single strokes and dude, they were like, we don't understand. I was like, hold on, let me show it to you. You know what I mean? And so I told him, find your passion. He loves to skateboard. I said, can you still skateboard right now? He was like, yeah, do it. If you have to do it every day, do it. But let something don't ever let something just try to take your joy, man.
Hmm.
Because once you allow something to take it,
Yeah.
which you shouldn't be able to, but once you allow something to take it, you're losing now.
Yeah.
You're
It
now
has a
losing the
key given
battle.
in power. Right.
You're allowing something to have power over you, to have dominion over you. You
Right.
don't want that. And so we can all talk about, well, just go hang out with your family and your friends. Family and friends have lives too. I don't know if
Yeah.
y'all know that. Those things over there, they are my life. They're part of my life. Okay? Not the other way around. I'm not a part of its life. It's a part of my life.
They're
Family and friends have their own lives.
yeah.
They might have family trips, family vacations that kids just got out of school, man. They're gone.
Right.
They're out here doing things. I might not. Hey, man, I listen. I'll tell you right now, I've tried my best to be like, well, maybe I should go hang out with so and so. I used to hang out with him all the time. He's got 4 kids now. Kid. He's got a whole family. You know what I mean? And so we can want to have those flashbacks and those opportunities to do things that we used to,
Yeah.
but let's try to do something that we can. Um, it, it doesn't always have to be by yourself because
Hmm.
I play those drums at church too,
Right.
and I've played in other groups. I play this keyboard in music therapy, so there's
Mhm.
another shared moment.
Right.
So we can incorporate shared moments, but try to find something that just sparks your life. If you're an avid reader, continue reading books, man. If you're a singer, record yourself singing.
Yeah.
I don't care how good or bad you sound. I could care less. Record you and say you sound amazing. You're the next Mariah Carey. You're the next Stevie Wonder. Who next Ray Charles? Whoever you want to be, you're the next best thing.
Yeah.
You're the next Taylor Swift. I don't care. But guess what? You do.
Yeah. Believing in yourself is the most important part.
I don't know if you ever saw that TV show Author.
Yeah. Yeah.
The song says, "Believe in yourself.
Right.
That's the place to start." It doesn't say start anywhere else. Believing in yourself, that's the place to start.
Absolutely.
Bam. That's it. Drop the mic and walk off. You
So,
know,
speaking on your motivational speaking, man, you had mentioned that you travel around the country and that I'm assuming you're going international. Are you doing that for motivational speaking or just for a trip?
actually, that's gonna be a family trip to go see my
Okay.
brother. When I told you he was
Oh,
in the Air Force, he's
nice.
stationed over there. So yeah.
So, when you do your motivational speaking, what kind of audience do you usually do it in front of? Do you do it at schools? Do you do it in front of recruits? Like, what does the motivational speaking look like for you?
Well, I kind of do two kind of speakings, but for motivational, it's really anybody who needs it. I'll be
Right.
honest. And I say that because I have done schools,
Hmm.
which are high schools, trying to get to the college field, but it's a little harder to break into.
Yeah.
Um, I've done corporations, like Wells Fargo, different places like that, Siemens, different places. Even been to what's that place? It's like a healthcare center, but it's here locally in North Carolina.
Hmm.
But spoken to those kind of places. And
Okay.
why not speak to a healthcare place?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
heck. I mean, what the heck? You're talking to a walking miracle here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I kept trying to convince these, even UNC, the hospital that did my surgery. I tried to convince them, why won't y'all have me back to speak?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a walking testimony for y'all
Right.
and what y'all and the work y'all did for me. You're like, y'all should be putting me on every single commencement speech for y'all's medical program. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Or
Yeah.
something. And so anyway, just those types of things. I also am not only in person, I do virtual as well.
Right.
So the main thing that I like to focus on, man, and in my topics is overcoming adversity,
Yeah.
overcoming hardship, man, resilience. And so, because I am also a resilience coach, and my key topic that I love to talk about is the will to overcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Good
that's a
testimony.
great title, right?
Hmm.
But within that title is an acronym. Will stands for something. It stands for winning in life's lessons.
Mm.
Because in order to overcome adversity, we have to win in life's lessons.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing, man. When I started learning the lessons that I was taught throughout this accident, throughout my military career, anything,
Hmm.
whether it have been football, basketball, whatever, track, all the sports I've played, I was learning lessons throughout the whole time. And if you get my book, read my book, any of the listeners, you will see all the lessons that I was learning through this journey because I actually mentioned them at the end of each chapter.
I love
And I'm actually grateful that I didn't write my book earlier than I did because it allowed me to reflect on those lessons that I learned in order to put it in the book.
it. Hmm.
So yeah.
So at the end of with every guest that I have on here, I kind of try to change the question up a little bit. And you being a fellow man and you also having served and going through what you've gone through, what does men's mental health mean to you?
Oh man. Everything. I
Yeah,
listen, when I tell you I try to push everybody, not just men, but women as well,
yeah.
to mental therapy. I've told my dad about it. He still hasn't done it. But anyway, I want people to understand that this is not to be looked at in a negative light.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why I say that. Other than just, what people say about it. When I was in the military, if you step foot inside of the mental health department,
Hmm.
they already look at you different.
Right.
You haven't talked to anybody, you haven't seen anybody, you haven't been on anybody's paperwork, you ain't even taken a piece of candy out of the jar. If you step foot through the door, who's that? What are they doing here? Oh, you got to go back to work? I don't think so, because we got to
Jeez.
notify your supervisor.
Right.
Everything changes now.
This is a reminder. Take my medicine.
My Alexa's talking.
Okay.
But
This is a
every
reminder. Take my medicine.
single thing for you
Mhm.
changes, whether you're male or female. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Especially in the flying industry, with me being, in flying,
Yeah.
you go on the do not fly list automatic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I guess I can understand to an extent, but wow. Even just
Yes.
stepping foot, that's
Just going in there.
uh,
Man, you could have turned the wrong way. But they were, hey, hey, were you trying to come in here? Oh, okay, come on in. I don't even know where I am. Like now you look even crazier. Wait, you stepped in here and you didn't know where you were? Oh yeah, we need to write this up. We need to write this up. I'm making it comical, but it's so serious, man. This is something I've talked to other veterans about.
Mhm.
And I said, the fact that we had to hide what was wrong with us is what's wrong with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here, let me say that one again, because that one just hit me differently. The fact that we had to hide what was wrong with us is what's wrong with us.
Too true. Yeah.
So we couldn't seek help for the things that were bothering us. So it made it worse
Right.
because we're not getting any help. Man, when I went through grade school, I don't know if this was the same for you, but it might be. When I went through grade school, I was told if I need help to ask for it.
Yep.
When I got to the military, they said, shut up.
Just be quiet. Don't say a word.
Don't say nothing. You can go,
Yeah.
but guess what? It's going to change your entire career.
You're donezo.
The entire career.
Yeah.
You'll be lucky if you go back to your job. As
Jeez.
far as like continuing for a 20-year career if you were trying to do that long.
Right.
They're trying to find you something else to do.
Jeez.
And if you were, I don't know, please don't be a job that has something to do with a weapon. because it's gone.
Right.
As soon as you step foot in the door, they take the weapon from you. You can't get it back until you're cleared. When is that gonna happen? Never. Let's see, short of February. You know what I mean? And so when I tell you, man, it's so sad, bro.
Yeah.
Like I really understand these movies that they try to depict
Yeah.
how veterans come home from war zones or anything like that.
Right.
And there was I can't remember the name of this movie, but there was a image that I'll never forget. And it was this guy, he came home from war. Now he's done ran all of his family off because he's too much to handle.
Yeah.
He's in this house by himself, man. And he takes off running out of the front door. Just one random night out of the front door and dives in his grass. And yeah, he's yelling incoming when he does this. Nothing's going on, bro.
Right.
He doesn't even have a TV on in his house.
Jeez.
There's no TV, no radio, no light. There's nothing going. This is all happening in his mind. And he
And
takes off running and just dives in the grass and says incoming.
it's like you were saying, the problems that you had was the ones you couldn't talk about.
The internal ones, man, the battles we fight internally. And I have to say we because I always consider myself and will always consider myself a military personnel
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
of what I went through and the experiences I went through. So we battle so many internal wars on a daily,
Right.
some greater than others. Why do you think this is why people turn to the bottle?
Yep.
This is why people turn to the pills. This
Hmm.
is why people like, I can't wait to get out so I can start smoking weed.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you is things that I've heard.
Yeah.
These are not things I'm making up.
It's heartbreaking, man.
Very much
It
so.
is.
And I hate the stigma
Mm,
around the mental therapy thing, man.
me
It's
too.
so bad.
Too.
It's so bad. Why should I have to suffer in order for you to accept me?
Yeah.
You mean to
Agreed.
tell me I need to go to the bar every night and spend all my check for the month just so I can be accepted in your branch?
Just don't understand it,
I'm
man. It's hard.
I'm now a functioning alcoholic.
Right.
Hopefully, I must be if I'm still able to come to work.
Right.
I've witnessed I've witnessed walking past a car having no idea at the time.
Hmm.
Where I was stationed now, I walked past a car after lunch, going back to work, and not thinking nothing of anything. And one of our maintainers committed suicide.
Ah,
I walked past that car
yeah.
and had no idea
Right.
because there's nothing that showed the sign. It looked like he was in there sleep.
Hmm.
Think about this. This is exactly how it looked. Him just laying his head back on his chair. That's
Yeah.
it. Only to find out later the next day when I see the flags being flown at half staff, because that's what that means. That
Yeah.
means somebody, we have a fallen soldier, a fallen military member, and if it's nationwide, it's something way major. But if it's just your base, something happened at your base.
Right.
And that email came out. And I was like, wait a minute, who? What happened? And I get in and I get we catch the briefing. I'm like, where was this at? And on the fourth side? They were like, no, this is one of our maintainers. It's like, wait, what? And they were like, yeah, in the parking lot over there. I was like, wait, which parking lot? The far side? He was like, yeah. He was like, he was in his car. He was like, yeah. I said, hold on, time out. was this car so and so? And he was like, yeah. Like, but how do you know that? Because we didn't put that in the information.
Right.
I was like, because I walked past that car, but I didn't think nothing was wrong with the guy. He just looked like he was asleep.
Jeez. And that image is forever burned in the back of your mind too.
Forever.
Yeah.
I will never forget walking past the car.
Right.
Things like that you don't forget because what we're trained to feel in the military is literally like brothers and sisters
Right.
in arms. We're trained that way. So when something happens to somebody think about it this way. If something happened, do you have siblings?
Yeah.
If something happened to one of your siblings, I'm sure you remember it,
Right. My
especially if you saw it.
one of my brothers got killed by a drunk driver 3 years ago. So yeah, it's
It's
something
going
that
to
I'll never
stick
forget.
with you, man.
Yeah.
It will always be there.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. We shouldn't cover this stuff up, shove it under the rug, however you want to phrase it. That's not what should happen.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
that's why I am such a an advocate, man, for, mental therapy and mental health. I wrote about it in my book. I said everybody should
Yeah.
seek somebody, seek a mental therapist.
Agreed.
There's too many of them out there for you not.
Right. Um, so before we get to the quote to close out the podcast, where can our listeners find your book and a website if you have one?
Yes, I absolutely have a website and you can actually find the book on it. So my website is ameymotivation.com. That is AMEY motivation.com. Like I said, the book is on there, so don't focus on why me from motorcycle accident to miracle. But if you do like to listen to books. It's on Audible as well as Apple Books as an audio version, and you can search it on there. If you would like to book me for any speaking engagements, conferences, conventions, galas, whatever, I'll even come to your bar mitzvah if you want me to. But yeah, feel free. There's a book me link on there, and I also have some videos if you like to check those out. Have one of me speaking. It's kind of summed up and then also have videos of me playing the drums on there. So
Perfect. So I have the quote for the end of the podcast, but before I share mine, do you have any closing thoughts or any closing words you want to share with our listeners?
honestly, I will say yes. And this goes back to the labeling thing, like we were just talking about
Hmm.
with mental health, mental therapy. Um, I say this, but I learned it from another a show that I used to watch. With labels, this is one thing to think about. Don't let somebody else define who you are or let your situation define who you are. Let you define who you are. Stop allowing other people to put labels on you.
Absolutely. Which ironic enough, is almost word for word the quote that I have. Um, and it's by Mr. Matt Haig, and it reads, "Mental health problems don't define who you are. They are something you experience. You walk in the rain and you feel the rain, but importantly, you are not the rain." And pretty much
Awesome.
word for word what you said, man.
Hey, that means we're in alignment.
I was just gonna say that
That's
we're
it.
we're perfectly in sync, man. And
Yeah.
before we close out, I just want to say, number one, thank you so much for your service.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Number two, I think your story is absolutely incredible. And I'm sure not only our listeners, but for myself, there has been a lot to take away from this conversation. And I think you are a phenomenal human being that I am grateful to have met.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Hey, this does not have to be the last time we talk. Just make
Yeah,
sure you keep in touch.
absolutely, man. And for all my listeners, thank you guys so much for your support as always. Until next time, be gentle with yourselves and much love.